Well, a new year is almost upon us, and as we prepare to say goodbye to 2020 and usher in 2021,
It's 2022, mate.
What?
Yeah, the year that's ending is 2021. It's about to be 2022.
Bullshit. No, it's definitely... It is... How the fuck did that happen? Okay, I know it couldn't have been 2021 because there was no WWE2K21.
That's because 2K20 was such a dogshit game they wouldn't have sold a 2K21.
It was dog shit. Okay, so apparently an entire year passed last week, and I started uploading videos in the middle of it. As we say goodbye to 2021 and usher in 2022, I'm sure there's a lot of things in this new year that people are looking forward to. For me, one of those things is WWE2K22. Typically it would be released by now, but after the absolute disaster that was WWE2K20, they decided to give it some extra time, giving us 2K Battlegrounds last year instead of 2K21. No, I've not played 2K Battlegrounds, I probably never will. As well as pushing this new game's release date back to March. So I thought I'd be a generic YouTuber who talks about wrestling and offer up my wish list for WWE2K22, which is mostly irrelevant because there is no conceivable way that they could add all these features in within the next few months. Most of the things I'm going to list are concepts from older games that I want to see brought back, but I have to bring something up. See, about 4 days after I first started writing this video, 2K released the hit list trailer for 2K22. It's recording this video right now while I'm still sick rather than waiting till I get better, because with how long I take to get onto things, if I don't do this now, there is no other way that I am going to have this video up before January when we get more information. There was some overlap, so I guess I'll start with that. GM mode. This is one that the fans have been asking to make a return for years, and in some cases I can see why they didn't bring it back, but Jesus Christ, it has made no sense for it not to be in the last few years. For those who never got to experience it, General Manager mode, or GM mode for short, had you take control of either Raw or SmackDown, or in SmackDown vs. Raw 2008 you could also pick ECW. It debuted in SmackDown vs. Raw 2006 in a somewhat limited but still enjoyable concept. At the start of the game, you draft wrestlers to your brand, deciding who your champions, faces, and heels are. You compete against your opposing brand to consistently put on the best shows and draw viewers away from your opponents. I mean, it does make a lot of sense because Raw and SmackDown air on separate nights, so you could totally watch both. But hey, it gave it that Monday Night Wars feel, which, thinking about it, could easily have replaced GM mode when it was taken out of the games for SmackDown vs. Raw 2009. Like, WWE owns the rights to WCW. It could have just been Raw vs. Nitro. Either way, in the 3 games it was in, this was a huge source of replayability. Hell, even now I still go back and play through the old games just for GM mode. If you want an idea of its lasting impact, current WWE wrestler King Xavier Woods and former WWE wrestler Matt Clement, known in WWE as Tyler Breeze, have legitimately spent the last 3 years constantly making videos in SmackDown vs. Raw 2006's GM mode. Now, a big argument that comes up whenever people ask for GM mode to come back was, well, if you play it right, Universe mode is just like GM mode. And to that I say, no. No, it most certainly is not. Biggest reason I say that is, and it seems like a weird thing to complain about as much as I enjoy Universe mode, but the key thing that separates them is you just have way too much control in Universe mode. Universe mode is specifically designed so that you can control almost every aspect of your game, to the point that in the last couple, when you simulate a match, they let you actually choose a winner. They let you control run-ins and everything. There's no real sense of competition. I guess you could play with another person and each book one of the shows to see whose show ultimately gets rated higher, but you're missing those things from GM mode. the jumping through hoops to try to keep your wrestlers happy and stop them from jumping to the other brand. The way you can fuck people over. Seriously, my cousin and I would get into arguments all the time because he would, for example, draft Matt Hardy to try and make the Hardy Boys as tag champs. So of course my response was to immediately draft Jeff. There's the aspect of having to balance your money and not go broke while you're trying to keep your top stars signed. Sure, you could turn these features off, but that still didn't stop it from being competitive. So ultimately, I'm glad GM mode is making a return. I'm sure it may not be as good as everyone will want it to be, but if we can at least get back to SVR08 levels, hell, even SVR06, I'll be happy, and you can improve it from there. Now, the next thing I had isn't really on the hit list, but it kind of is. That is a My Career mode. From what I can tell, My Rise is what's taking over as My Career, which, honestly, not what I wanted. I wanted a My Career mode. I know what you're thinking, Chris, you fucking moron. My Career mode has been in the last several games. Well, no, it fucking hasn't. 2K19 and 2K20 didn't feature a My Career mode. They featured random chucklefucks career modes. These were more like story modes rather than actual career modes. And while there was a lot of hype around 2K20 having the first females career mode, there were a couple of problems. First of all, it wasn't so much a females career mode as it was a co-ed career mode. And secondly, 2K20's career mode is the only one of these modes in any WWE game that I have never finished. Not only because I physically couldn't play it for a while, more on that later, but also because the story was just so bad. And not just because of the actual story, but the characters. Especially the male character you play as. Trey. Most people, when they make a character for a career mode, they make an idealistic version of themselves. So naturally they want to be badasses. So believe it or not, I don't want to be this bumbling dumbass. Then there's the woman, Red. She's definitely more competent than her male counterpart, and she has the much more interesting story of the two, with her background with a school bully following her in her career or something like that. I don't know, I don't remember. It's 2 years I've been fucking repressing that fucking game from my memory for. Again though, my problem is that it's only interesting as opposed to Trey's story. And yeah, it kinda resembles the Shawn Michaels Bret Hart feud from the 90s where real world grievances mixed with the storyline, but I'm sorry, Bret and Shawn is a much more entertaining story. Like, the bully never ripped out a chunk of Red's hair in the toilets as far as I'm aware. But we have had women's storylines in previous games under THQ. Hell, I love Mickie James's Road to WrestleMania in SmackDown vs. Raw 2010. As a matter of fact, make that a mode we bring back, Road to WrestleMania mode, and pay Justin Lieber some more money for it, for fuck's sake. Getting back to my career mode, I definitely enjoyed 2K19's more with Buzz. My biggest problem with it, though, is it was next to impossible to tell what was a work and what was a shoot. Again though, it's not really a My Career mode, it's just a story mode. At least Buzz is a lot more likeable than Trey, but regardless, this is still something where I wish we could have had something better. Wait a minute. We did have something better. 20 fucking years ago. Seriously, just bring back the season modes from games like Shut Your Mouth and Here Comes the Pain. We don't need everything to be voice acted unless you bring in every single person to record lines for it. Which, to be fair, is exactly what they did for season modes from SVR06 to 08. Now the final thing, it's just a brief one, but a better control scheme. Seriously, 2K fucked it up so bad in the new controls. I don't care that there's a tiny bit of lag if you use the triggers to reverse. It's the same amount of time it takes to move my thumb from the A or X button to the Y or triangle button. Who thought this was a good idea? But apparently we have a new control scheme. Is it better? I don't know, just looking at it doesn't fill me with confidence, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. Alright, on to the stuff they didn't cover, and a big one, straight off the bat. Please, 2K, please, for the love of all that is holy, of all the creation modes you go on about, please, 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 bring back Create a Story. Seriously, the whole idea of these games is that you get to control the narrative. So how the hell has this feature that lets you literally control and craft your own narratives not been in a game since THQ made them? And yes, I know the last time it appeared was in 2K14, but that game was about 95% done before THQ shut down and 2K picked up the rights. My god, this is a mode that I would spend literal hours in making my own stories or downloading some off community creations to play. If you never got to experience this, Create a Story is exactly what it sounds like. A mode where you get to go in and create your own stories. It came with pre-made cutscenes, you could control everything down to the camera position. You could set specific conditions to be met that would, instead of having you win the match, move on to a cutscene. Hell, the early games to feature this mode actually had pre-made stories done by THQ, which quite often were akin to the showcase modes we would get in later games. Well, there's not really much more to say on this topic, so let's go to the next thing I want back and want newly put in. That is custom entrance stuff. This is a hard one to title. We used to be able to make our own entrance videos and import music to have wrestlers have custom entrance music. Now, create a video is sort of come and gone and come again. It's kind of weird. Almost like they can't decide whether or not to include it. Custom music apparently comes down to copyright stuff, so maybe some sort of integration with Spotify? Of course, that would mean I'd have to actually get Spotify, which I have never really wanted to bother with. But you know what's something we haven't had before? Custom mini Tron ribbon movies. These fucking things. Seriously, having a custom entrance video is cool and all, especially if you can be bothered to manipulate enough shit to get a person's actual entrance video in, but then it throws it off with having to pick one of these that doesn't have an identifiable name or logo in it. But above all else, the one biggest thing I want for this game is for it to actually fucking work. WWE2K20 was an absolute disaster. If you want to know just how bad it was, I made a Metacritic account to leave a review of it. The only other time I've ever made an account on anything purely to leave a review of something I didn't like was when I made an IMDb account after I saw The Misfits. And interestingly, both have plenty of positive reviews that really seem paid for. Now, I was actually going to make a video on that exact topic back when the game came out, but I was still a year and a half off making videos, apparently. But something I recorded and have apparently since deleted is that I was switching back and forth between trying to load into the second match of my career in WWE 2K20 on the PS4 and just playing Hitman on the Xbox. In a near 30-minute recording, I went through multiple levels of Hitman while the loading bar never once moved in 2K20. Make matters worse, I got the deluxe edition of 2K20, meaning I spent about $130 $30 on that piece of shit, paying extra for DLC that caused the game to crash. Because it's not like it needed any help, since literally everything caused it to crash. I know I've gotten a bit worked up throughout this video, but this is something special to me. My introduction to wrestling came at a really young age, when I played the first SmackDown game back on the PS1. That was my first experience with anything to do with wrestling, when I was just a little kid, so these games have a special place in my heart. If it weren't for the games, there's every chance I may not have become a wrestling fan, and by that token, I would never have become a wrestler. I wouldn't have met some of the best people I've ever met. Some of the biggest cunts too, but some of the best people as well. And I may not even have had topics that will result in hour-long YouTube videos that get taken down for copyright despite being fair use. I'm still fucking bitter about that one. So please, 2K, don't make this one shit.